Motion for nomination.
I nominate you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. I will gladly accept that honor to be the county chairperson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We will now go to Evita update. Myra Pancrazio, Director.
Excuse me, I'm not Myra. I'm
Oh.
David Touche.
Could we have Mike, please?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is David Touche, and I'm the Vice Chair for the Estancia Valley Economic Development Association. And I want to thank you very much for allowing us to come to the presentation. I would like to say that we're extremely excited about this year. We started it out with the annual board meeting, and we're fortunate and proud to have all of our commissioners attend our meeting. It was a great meeting. We had some great speakers. We had John Freisinger from the QVC who came out and spoke, who is an investor in our group from Albuquerque. We also had Gary King, the Attorney General, who came and spoke, was a great speaker. And we also had Vanessa come out and speak, and we certainly appreciate you coming out. It was a driving speech that you gave us, and we appreciate it very much. I also would like to say that we're very excited. As you know, economic development goes slowly. We work at it very hard, and I'd like to thank Myra Pancrazio, our director, who works diligently to get economic development into our valley. And I'm also excited that we have all this wind pelt money that's coming in, and would like you to know that as you know, that Edwina was instrumental in helping get the wind project here, and also working with Dennis and the commission to get the IRBs written properly. We brought a lot of people in from Albuquerque that were familiar with IRBs, and we worked diligently to get that to happen. So it's neat that this money is coming back into the valley, and that you're able to use it for great projects like the projects that we talked about this morning. So we're excited about that, and we're excited about the new year, and it's going to be great, and we're going to get a lot of things done with your help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Do you have any questions? Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you very much for this opportunity. I have a quick handout. Thank you very much.
Sure.
The Estancia Valley Economic Development Association is going on our 14th year. We've been funded since 2001. We have about probably 60 members. A lot of those members are private money, and then there's public money. About 51% is private money. We wanted to make sure that we brought money in from outside the Estancia Valley so that new money was coming in for those entities, those departments, those organizations, those businesses that make money in our county and then take it to their county. We're giving back to our organizations. So as you go through this quick little, it's kind of repetitive each year as far as how we put it together. There is a membership list on there and how they contribute. For 2011, we have been working with a little over 10 renewable energy projects that adds up to about 3,437 megawatts of power. And all of those projects have contracted properties in Torrance County. We most recently the Silverado solar project and the El Cabo wind project, which is a 300 megawatt project. After I was really excited to sit through the designation or prioritization of the PILT money. And as I was sitting there, I was taking notes on, number one, how important it is that we get another wind project going so we can get some more PILT money, and of course solar projects as well. The slowness in the projects, probably on the El Cabo project, is acquisition of property for the transmission line that they will be putting through to transport their power. The slowness in the Silverado project is they're still working to acquire their PPA. All of the renewable energy in the state of New Mexico is exported out, which makes it a quasi-economic base. It brings new money into the area. The state of California is the biggest buyer of this energy, and the RPS standards in California have changed as of late 2011, 2012. So we're seeing a little bit of slowness in the economy. The other thing that we do is we watch at the federal level to see where the renewable energy production tax credits are going to fall. In fact, I was just in Austin, Texas last week with Technology Ventures Corporation, the UNM, and looking at kind of how the federal government is going to move money around through the SBA, which the Economic Development Association, I think, grant that falls under Department of Commerce and Department of Energy. So that's one of the things that we like to do, economic development and understanding from the top and how it funnels back into the state. So that's real important that we watch that. On the second page, there's a quick little, just kind of an overview. We did have some small businesses this year that we were real excited in this economy, a collision center in Moriarty, curbside recycling center in Moriarty. There is a salsa manufacturer that's getting up. Funding's a little bit slow, but she has acquired a building in Estancia. We have Project 40, which is probably about 45 jobs. It was about 20 to 30, it's 45. This is a huge project that is located in Albuquerque that will be relocating. They will be acquiring all of our trash, which has become a commodity, so you might want to reconsider what your trash is worth. We have proved through the 3-county area with both and then into San Miguel and Guadalupe that we can produce 1 million tons of trash a day. They utilize this trash to make a biofuel. The biofuel is being utilized right now with the Department of Defense under the Army vehicles. This biofuel is being used and tested right now. So they've gotten a lot of attention at the federal level and at the state level, and we're hoping that that moves forward. We've identified a building in Torrance County in one of the communities to work on that project. So that one's a very exciting project for us, and we continue to work on that. There is a list, there's an Excel list, probably 3 or 4 pages down, that talks about from 1999 to 2010, we estimated actual jobs. We brought in 1568. We have about 675 of those jobs now. So in the last probably 10 years. On completed projects, we're working on about 863 jobs on actual projects that we're working on right now. And then the wind projects, as a summary on the wind that we're working on, comes out to about 3,437 megawatts, over 1,500 jobs, construction jobs, and probably a total of, 75, probably a total of 150 jobs in the renewable energy that we're working on. As you know, and you've always supported, we are an organization that is here to bring in jobs. We're a marketing organization. We market outside the valley to bring new opportunities inside the valley. Gross receipts is very important to the counties and the communities right now, as well as jobs. We work in education, workforce, and economic development as is needed. It's hard to bring, as Madam Chair eloquently put, it's very hard to attract clients if you don't have a workforce, a skilled force ready to do that. So we are working on a couple projects for that as well. Since 2009, 2008, we have put a little over $71 million worth of economic impact, our efforts, your efforts, into the valley. As far as our budgeting, we started last year with a budget of $77,850 with a $9,000 grant for our travel that we received through the state as being a certified economic development organization. We added another $9,000 in membership, another $1,000 in a grant, but we lost $15,000 in membership, lost some banking support, and another big project and some loans. So right now we're probably about $7,000 to $10,000 going into the new year that we will have to work very hard to make up. There is a detailed report of all of our finances for the whole year, how it's broke down. We do like to brag about our in-kind membership. We do not pay for any kind of furniture, computers, or our office space or our conference space. All of that is donated, so that is an in-kind membership of a little over $20,000 a year. So we're always very happy about that, and I did include that. Some of the things that we're involved in right now, heavily involved in, and making sure that we have a voice and that we're following the money, is Albuquerque Regional Economic Alliance. That's a four-county area that's regionalized, taking the Avita model and kind of how you regionalize and get money in. The federal government wants regional support. I was really excited when Ms. Lincoln was talking about the Justice Board and how all of the counties coming together to do that. You get a lot of attention at the federal level when you can regionalize and show that there's a cooperation and a collaboration. Albuquerque Economic Development, we sit on the Albuquerque Economic Development Board. Experimental Aviation Association, we're always very involved with our airports within the valley. The Estancia Basin Water Planning Committee, Estancia Valley Foundation for Economic Education and Development. We do have a C3 foundation specifically geared for education for our workforce, and that's how we utilize the education portion. The New Mexico Clean Energy Alliance, we sit on that board, the Foundation for Rural Development, Congressman Heinrich's Economic Advisory Council, Heartland Transmission Alliance stakeholder. That the Heartland Transmission Alliance we're very involved in. That is the 8 states to our east that's part of the Southwest Power Pool that takes in the eastern part of the U.S. And we're very involved in that because that is the eastern grid of how our electricity moves. If you're on the western grid, you can't ship to the east right now, and if you're on the eastern grid, you can't ship to the western grid. It has to do with currents, electrical currents. So Tres Amigos is a very important project for all of us in the state, and so we're all very involved with that. We also sit on the Southwest Transmission Alliance. If we can't move the electricity, it doesn't do any good. We're not going to get any more projects, and we won't get any more appeal payments, and so it's important that we know what's going on and that we can make influence, or try to influence. The current administration has been very supportive and helpful. We have taken 2 clients and worked with her and her department, her staff on these transmission issues. SunZia did get the appropriation through the federal government to get the funding to go ahead and bring that SunZia line just right barely into Torrance County and then it shoots back. And then also there is another transmission line working through the Renewable Energy Transmission Authority, RETA. It's the Clean Line Energy Transmission Line. It's a 345 kV line. That will be starting in Guadalupe County. There will be an injection point there. It will come then into Torrance County, come up through Willard, and the route right now is up through 41 and meets the 345 kV line that runs across just north of Stanley. So that will help these projects along. So what I'm trying to do is let you know that we're working on this, so there's hope that these projects can move forward. A lot of them are waiting for transmission. Mid-Region Council of Government, National Association of Industry and Office Properties. I just stepped down as the state president on that. The New Mexico State Energy Sector Partnership, the Wind Energy Training Program. The state received stimulus money for just renewable energy training. The eastern side of the state is, Avita sits on that board in looking at wind training money. So we're trying to utilize that to get our workforce ready for these El Pablo project. State Economic Development Department and United Way Workforce Investment Board. So those are some of the, I'm trying to go fast, because I won't read your agenda. Please stop me if I'm talking too fast. We worked with our federal delegation with the town of Encino. Every year we have what's called a mayor's lunch. The executive officers of Avita, which Mr. Freiberger is one of our executive officers, gets with our mayors all over the county area, and we sit down for 2 hours, just the mayors and our executive officers with our federal and state delegates. And what we do is they each go around the room and we each identify challenges that they represent in their particular community. And what happens by the end of the meeting is, because they've talked about a challenge, another mayor, or as in Commissioner Freiberger's case, they find solutions to challenges out there. So it's a way that we collaborate with all of our mayors and the executive team, so we know how to help and the Encino Fire Station, the Encino Post Office. That was a collaborative effort by all of the mayors and our federal and state delegates to move forward in trying to alleviate those challenges for that one community. Evita is part of the Metro Alliance, which is the Albuquerque Regional Economic Alliance, and they have their own website, so we will now be linked to that. So our properties, we're in the process of putting our properties that will be linked to the Fort County website and to the state website. So we'll be working on that. If you have any questions, please give me a call. We also continue to work on the new market tax credit. The new census came out for poverty in January. We met with our federal delegates on several occasions and the state. There's certain tracts of land in Torrance County that do not qualify for the new market tax credit. We needed that to change, and how that changes through the poverty, through the statistics on the poverty numbers. So we were able to get Denver through Senator Udall's office to give us those numbers ahead of time, and we were able to identify a tract of land that needed to be incorporated. We have a project that would like to go into that tract of land and utilize the new tax credit, which is a federal program, and we were successful in moving forward on that. And then one of the things that we've been doing since 2006 is working with the Department of Commerce in Washington and with the Technology Ventures Corporation in providing fiber optic into the Estancia Valley. When the stimulus money all came through, we were very successful in talking ENR Plateau into, they've gone for the second round of stimulus, and they had brought it into portions of Torrance County to bring fiber optic to the rest. So we worked with them and had several meetings, and we're very happy, and you guys have been working with them as well to get fiber optic. It's real important that we have, without having bricks and mortar, secondary and higher education facilities, it's so important that we have access to fiber optic. You know, wireless is great if there's not a tree in the way. Satellite's wonderful if, there's not a tree or something in the way. Fiber optic is for everybody. It's the very fine optic that you don't see. It's not copper, it's not DSL, and it allows everybody to do distance learning from their homes, their businesses. It's about the download and the upload, and we need to be able to do that without tying up computers. It's instantaneously. So we're very excited to have that. That allows us to do better education, distance learning. It allows our we can now send x-rays and those type of things from here at our clinics right to the hospitals. We haven't been able to do that yet. It allows for video conferencing, more media conferencing, social conferencing, and it also allows for our judicial system to do, to do quick and not have grainy pictures when they do jail, and I don't know what all that's called, but I know it's important to our judicial system to be able to not transfer the prisoners to court, that they can do it from the jail cell. I think they do it now with real time. We haven't been able to do that effectively. We try it, but we just don't have the speed to do that. So with that, I'm going to stop, because there's a whole lot more. It could go on forever. We're very, very appreciative of all your support. I think that you should be very proud of all of the things that are going on that you have supported in your economic development organization and your representation, Mr. Freiberger, who's a great asset to the organization, and we appreciate your time and you guys supporting it. So thank you. Any questions?
I have one. We had the water bottle company come before us this last year, and they had recommended that they come and see you. Can you update us?
Absolutely. Our job through the state and CCI, the Certified Communities Initiative, which is a certified economic development organization, is that usually a business doesn't have to come and see us. They can start a business, they can go get a business license, they can do whatever they want. When they're asking for something different and they need to come before the county, we are your agent. So if you require them to come to us, then we have a set of things that we're going to require of them. I can't arrest them if they don't do it. We did ask them, we did meet with them, they even brought us some bottles. It was great, we had a great relationship, it was a great individuals. We asked for a business plan, there was some flags on the water, the documentation needed to be clearer and cleaner. We worked with Steve's office, he agreed that they needed to go back to the state engineer's office for that water certificate, and that we needed a business plan, and I never saw him again. So and then at that particular point, obviously, I contacted Steve, they're on the agenda, the paper called me, yes, they did, I told them what I needed, and unfortunately, we hope they come back, but I can't make
Okay,
them.
just checking, thank you.
Well, thank you, Myra, for all of your information today. I was wondering where I could bring this up, but yesterday in our conversation in regards to Altry,
Yes.
I would just encourage you to, if you could work with our county manager, whatever it takes. We have a very small window to get that application in for the private activity bonds. So if you could help us make sure that we get that in, I would be very grateful, and I know that Phil would be as well.
Absolutely, you did call me yesterday, and I did reach out to Joy, as Joy did to me, and whatever we need to do to get that done, we will work together.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Madam Chair, I'd also like to comment that I know there's a shortfall with the funding, with people that have gone out, and a great asset that you are, and I would like, if it may come out of PIL funds, or if Joey can find another avenue, I would like to see the county maybe increase to help on that shortfall. I know we give a considerable amount, but
Give
I think
£20,000.
with the gross receipts and everything that we receive, it'd be a small percentage.
All right, when do you have a dollar amount, or are you going to come back with that request?
Our 3-year contract is up in June 31st. We would ask to, work with you on a contract again. Right now, you give $20,000 a year. If we're falling short, we would, obviously, in the past, how we did it is we went by each community and county's gross receipts. And we took 1%, it was like not even 0.5% of the gross receipts from the prior year is what you contribute. I think that probably Lonnie probably could, or Commissioner Freiberger could talk about this a little bit more as we will have our executive meeting in February, what we think we could do to work together. Obviously, we need more field money, that would be great. Probably in February we'd have a better idea.
I think I kind of surprised that on you, so I might not have been ready for it.
I can defer to Dave on that. He's the chair.
She beat around the bush. I think that we received 20,000, and we're excited that we get to 20,000. We do have a shortfall, and we'd like to get somebody in as a part-timer, and we would like to see if we can get an increase of $5,000 to $10,000 on our contract. And we would certainly like to come back and talk to you when our contract's due.
Okay, great. Well, we will do that when the contract is at that point. Thank you, Myra. Thank you, Dave. We will now go to Resolution 2012-01, establishing county policy statute compliance. Who will be handling that? Will that be Joy or Annette?
Madam Chair, it's just an annual resolution that you guys adopt in January. It's basically saying that the county declares all meetings to be open to the public and shall be properly advertised and posted as prescribed by state statutes, and that monies deposited with the banks which have qualified as depositories shall be equitably distributed between all the banks within the county so qualifying. And then county policy is hereby established whereby the county commission may establish and prescribe its rules, regulations, and policy-making decisions and an affirmative action program. And that's the summarization of the resolution.
Okay, thank you. I'll now call for a motion to adopt the resolution. Is there a second?
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We will now go to Resolution 2012-02, open meetings.
Again, Madam Chair, this is a repeat of last year. Every year, the county commission has to adopt an open meetings resolution. The only language that has been changed, because the commission changes times of meetings, is that we require public to, the time of the meeting is as advertised on the agenda. We thought that was the basic language to accommodate night meetings versus morning meetings.
Okay, thank you. We're at the table. Is there any discussion or comment?
No.
Thank you. I will now call for a motion to adopt Resolution 2012-02. Is there a second?
Second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We now go to Department take-home vehicle discussion.
Madam Chair, this was back on the agenda because the minutes reflected no action, and I wanted to follow up and ask Commissioner Freiberger if you received the information you needed, if you need anything more from us, or where we're at with that discussion.
Madam Chair, the reports, we got a yearly report. I guess that was a yearly report, Trish, that you gave us last time, and I've gotten a 2-week report this time. It's still not clear. I mean, we have, I know you're pushing snow on roads, but on some of them, you list the same roads 4 or 5 days in a row. And I'm not for sure if we have a constituent call, if they actually got that road, because as soon as I say, you know, when they pushed snow on County Road 99, well, they weren't here. They haven't been here. And that might be the intent within that 4 or 5 days. But when we're looking at it, and here's the example, I've got 5 days before Christmas, and every one of them is pushed snow, and it's the same roads on every day. So it's unclear whether you push snow on every one of those roads every day. And if you drive the mileages out, that's a considerable amount of mileage, you know, for which I did. So it's the report, I believe, would be more detailed. I have some snow reports and stuff that the Department of Transportation uses that we could modify. And the other reason that I say this is because of liability reasons. When we have multiple roads on there and we have an accident on a certain road, we have to be without doubt able to prove in a tort claim that we did that certain road during that time. And so I've got one that we send out, and it shows the start time, the route time, the operator, and exactly what we did with it. I would like more of a report for the county for that. And in speaking with I know we spoke last time, I was amazed to find out that not just the road department, but other departments do not have mileage sheets that we write down exactly every mile that we drive every day and where we go to and everything. And I have an example of that form that I would like to see if we can implement in all of the county vehicles. And at this point, I've looked over the roads, I've looked over the mileages that our operators, I do not see an advantage of giving a lot of our people vehicles to take home. I do not. I've tried to go over this thing. At this point, I'm willing to say that anybody that lives out of the county must find a place to park the vehicle within the county or a designated area. I know that the sheriff's department parks theirs in Hewett, and I believe that would be beneficial, for that. The road department, as many vehicles as we have, I believe that we can cut those down. I believe that we can save the fuel, and I know that I've looked this over. We have a fuel station in Estancia. We have a fuel station in Moriarty. Yesterday, I observed a vehicle at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, fueling up. And so I would like to implement that the county vehicles for the road department are parked, except for the 2 supervisors, at the yard, and that they are dispatched at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're out of the yard by 7:30, going to their respective places that they're working. They leave those places at 4 o'clock in the field that afternoon as soon as they finish. And then their tanks and their pickups should be fueled prior to end of the workday. Martin?
So what happens during the storm?
All the way up.
Sorry, can't hear you.
So what happens during these storms when we have to come all the way to Estancia, all the guys, and then go right back 2 miles or half a mile where the equipment is, just to get a grader?
How many days?
Or even grading a road.
How many,
So the guy's gonna have to come from Encino and from Corona all the way to Estancia, get their pickup, go all the way back to Corona or anywhere around there, anywhere in the districts to start work. You're looking at 3 to 4 hours per day just to get to the grader. And and if that's not, you're talking about a little bit of fuel in a pickup compared to, it's gonna be a lot more fuel on that pickup just coming here. It will not, it's not even cause, I mean, it's ridiculous, I think, in my part, because it's been tried before, and believe me, it doesn't work. It does not work like the state highway department. Everybody tries to put the county as like the state, it's totally different. There's no comparison. The state highway department has 2-3 roads they gotta take care of. We have 1,000 miles in different areas, lots of different roads to take care of. There's no comparison with the state highway department, and I disagree with that, and I feel our guys need to keep the vehicles.
thank you for your input.
As a commissioner, I would just like to, I don't know, because I've talked to Leonard on different occasions, and for me, for us up here, to have a better understanding of what the department heads are having to do and where those vehicles, I'd like to sit down with Martin and Leonard and let them explain to us, and maybe if we can, have them map it out and actually show us what they're doing, then maybe we can have a better understanding of what it is that they're doing.
I would be in agreement to that. That's why, the reason I started off with, wanting to know what was done day by day.
Sure. So would that work? Because I think then, because we don't understand, you're bringing up a great point. It's going to cost us more money to do what we think is going to work. So if we can sit down with you and Leonard and let you explain to us what your day-to-day and what the guys' day-to-day, and be very specific on the vehicles and the mileage and where they're having to go, and then that'll give us a better understanding of what you guys do.
We have a comment in the audience. You have to come to the podium.
My name is Jason Quintana. You did mention about sitting down with them. I think it'd be a better idea if you guys actually went out with them and saw the roads and the issues that they need to deal with. Because sitting back here is a lot different than actually being out there. To make one of Martin's points there, and Lonnie knows, the highway department has many yards. You guys have 2 county yards. You don't have one. We have every 100 miles or something like that. So it's a little easier for the DOT to have people come to a location. These guys, especially during the winter months, it is, their response time would be a lot better. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the way you guys are set up, the operator is within a half mile or a mile of their piece of equipment that they're gonna be using. It'll save from, like you said, the biggest thing is save the man hours getting to the piece of equipment. Maybe if there's other issues or whatever, maybe Martin and Leonard just need to, check on their guys more or whatever the rest of the underlying issues are. But I really think response time would be a lot better if they were allowed to be closer to their pieces of equipment, especially during the winter. And they're going to save more money by them not having to drive their pieces of equipment from Estancia and Moriarty to 40, 50, 100 miles away. And if you really want to find out for sure, test the vehicle. Take one of those vehicles and have them do that with it. And you'll find out how much fuel you're going to spend, how much money on fuel you're going to spend driving 100, 200 miles to their location and back.
Well, I agree with you that we have multiple yards, and I'm working right now with the department on storing county equipment and some of the patrol yards, to where we can have a central location if you're working up in the mountain area. And we do blade a few more miles than just a few miles.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It's, what is it, 100 miles per yard, or you gotta be 100, well, they wanted to make us 100 miles apart, but
yeah.
we,
But it is. But it is something that we're going to go to, and I can guarantee you that there'll be pickups parked.
well, and if you're gonna work on something like that, Lonnie, I would also ask that, we all know that the highway department had some issues and needed help with some of our main roads.
Mhm.
You know, if the county vehicles happen to be passing by, if they could, you know, help open up a little as they're getting to their next county road, just because of the issues that we have. I mean, that also gives the county an avenue to ask the DOT maybe for reimbursement of fuel or something, because they have helped. That's just something to look at.
Good, good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to comment on this particular issue. But I saw that you had your hand raised. Do you have a comment?
Whenever you guys want to come to the office.
Gotta
to
come
look
up
at it.
here. I'm not gonna get anything to say on it.
Whenever you guys are ready to come to look at the maps and see how far the guys go from here to their job site, come and see. They have everything documented.
Thank you, Trish. Okay, this is listed as a discussion item on the agenda. But I do agree with Commissioner Freiberger that I also would like the trucks in the road department parked until we have that meeting. I think it would be just fair across the board if we did it with the supervisors and the staff, so it doesn't cause animosity from the staff to the supervisors and vice versa, but I'm open to negotiation on that, but I do think that those trucks do need to be parked until we can come up with a plan and have an open and frank discussion on that. So
Good.
I think that we are in agreement on that. Is there, Tracy?
I just had a quick question. Does that pertain just to the road department or all county department? I'm not gonna be able to hear a word you're saying. I'm sorry. The question was, does that just pertain to the road department or all county vehicles? I'm just wanting to make sure that we're not gonna charge fringe in
I would ex-
payroll as.
I would exclude the law enforcement and also the fire department. They are required on a 24-hour basis. Have anybody else that you would say,
Emergency manager?
emergency manager?
I would say all the vehicles, I would recommend all vehicles that are exempt from fringe. So it doesn't really make a difference for payroll, does it?
No. If they're, because law enforcement and emergency management are exempt from the vehicle fringe.
Okay.
They are emergency
I think
management.
that's
So
a
it's
fair
not-
way to, yes. Does that help you?
Yes.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, let me get back to the agenda. Yes?
I'm just curious because I kind of don't fall under either category with my program. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's fairly frequent that I do get the call from magistrate court, from the DWI clerk there, you know, requesting home visits and the like. I'll follow whatever guidelines you set for that particular program, but it just could be difficult if, for example, I have my personal vehicle here because dispatch is where I kept the vehicle before. If I have my personal vehicle here and then, get called to Mountain Air or whatever, and I just, like I said, I just would appreciate some clarification regarding this program.
Okay, thank you. Cindy?
We received the information that we turned in. So does that mean that we're not on call 24/7 anymore? If we park our cars until you guys make a decision? Because that's the reason we're on call. So is that, just clarification, it's the same thing. Since we respond to dispatch calls and assisting the sheriff's department and different kind of things like that? Is that how that's?
Joy, are those under the emergency?
No,
No?
we pay for it.
Do you pick up dogs in your car?
I absolutely do. The last one I did, I backed up one of Sheriff Keith's officers. A dog was severely injured, hit by car, and I went out in my unit and euthanized the dog on site and transported it in my car. That was the explanation that I gave to you guys, that a lot of times if I can do it in the car, it's more cost efficient to do that. If we have a situation where we're removing huge dogs, which of course, if they're not friendly dogs, I don't have the room for cages, then I have to call Danette out for, to use the big van for cage space, or if we have more than one animal, or whatever's going on with that, so.
Commissioner, we're at the table for discussion.
I was just trying to figure if, you know, how many times do you do that, Cindy?
There's no way, it has not been, it's not an everyday thing, it's not an every week thing, there's no way to know when something's gonna come up.
Yeah.
It's just, we just don't know. It has increased again by the statements that I gave you guys. It has decreased over the years because Irwin is out quite a bit and is usually available, but he lives up in Sandia Park, and when he is not available or he's off, I monitor my radio and I offer assistance, and dispatch calls me, and, you know, it's always been an available service to them if their officers need help or, you know, whatever's going on. We went up and assisted some people up in, was it Tahiti or Torrance? We went up and assisted that, and that was a really large dog, and we didn't have to transport that one, but there's just, you never know, you know, or what kind of situation, whether we can do it with the car, we have to do it with, sometimes we don't know until we get on site. You know, I'll go out and assess the situation, and then I may have to call her for backup. So it just depends on, and again, where we are in the county.
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to have a little work session where we're going to get out the list of everyone who had the take-home vehicle to clarify for all of the staff. That way we don't have to have every one of you come to the podium and we don't have an immediate response for you. We have a direction for the road department. We'll stick with that. There's two commissioners that have spoken in favor of that. We need to clarify the other vehicles, which we will. Just give us an opportunity. But why don't we take a 5-minute break, 5 to 10 minute break, then we can come back and figure out whether we're going to do that today or when we're going to do that so that you guys know how to go forward. Would you be in agreement with the break?
Yes.
Would you? Okay, so do we need a motion to take a break? Okay, we're 5-minute break.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to draw your attention to this article that I prepared for the local periodical. If you like, I could read it aloud. It wouldn't take more than maybe a minute and a half or 2 minutes.
Sure, go ahead.
And that way you can give me your feedback on it, because I'd like to run this in the local papers. It's called Preparing for Severe Winter Weather in Torrance County. And it's written kind of from the last meeting. One of the things that we discussed was this article. It reads, with the cold snowy weather we are experiencing this winter, it is important for Torrance County residents to adequately prepare for weather extremities such as the several storms that have recently dumped great amounts of snow upon the county and resulted in frigid temperatures. The purpose of this article is to inform county residents regarding methods for preparing for such weather. In any severe snowstorm, the major issues homeowners must consider include, number 1, snow blockage to roadways and footpaths, and number 2, utilities outages, fuel shortages. In these situations, it is important that residents of especially rural and potentially inaccessible areas take measures to prepare for the worst in terms of during a period of time snow block. The primary health and safety considerations for residents under such snowpack conditions include staying warm, number 2, maintaining a healthy diet, and 3, if you are a resident and must commute for either medical or employment reasons, maintaining a path of egress and ingress. The most common and likely impediment caused by winter storms is snow blockage to both public and private roadways and footpaths. Snow blockage can prevent residents from exiting and entering their property. Therefore, it is critical to prepare for such scenarios by either owning or obtaining the contracted services of a tractor blade or snow plow. It is important to note that the Torrance County Road Department is responsible for clearing county roads, but their private roads and driveways are off limits, except in the event of a life-threatening emergency whereby circumstances require emergency responders to have access to a residence and snow must be removed in order to get to the victim. Because county policy dictates that the use of county resources towards the improvement of personal property is unlawful, it is important for residents to take responsibility for private roads and driveways that the county cannot be held responsible for. Residents can accomplish this by either clearing private roadways and footpaths themselves or contracting the services of a local tractor blade and snowplow owners. The following is a list of well-known local contractors whose services are available to the public for the purpose of snow removal. You see that list there. Some folks, everyone on this list has given their approval to have their name and phone number in this article. Some that I call actually asked me to not include them, so they're not included. Utilities outages and fuel shortages also pose a problem for county residents during inclement weather. Preparing for a gas outage can be as simple, there's a typo there, can be as simple as obtaining as many electrical heaters as needed to warm your residence. Electrical outages can affect gas heating systems. That can affect gas heating systems are more troublesome. Prolonged electrical outages often require a coordinated response from local authorities that, depending on the scenario, can involve the relocation of residents to a shelter. Therefore, there's little residents can do except to have blankets on hand and await instructions from local authorities. Although it is uncommon for electrical and gas utilities to experience an outage simultaneously, it is important to prepare for these scenarios by having electric heaters and blankets on hand, as well as remaining vigilant for instructions from local authorities. Residents are encouraged to utilize wood fuel heating systems as well as generators in order to be fully prepared for scenarios involving power outages. In the case of residences utilizing propane, fuel shortages are easily offset by proper planning in terms of filling tanks upon the approach of inclement weather, or at least checking to make sure your tank is appropriately filled to match your needs. It is important to note that due to high demand that occurs during these situations, at times this preparation must be made well beforehand in coordination with your fuel provider. In a more general sense, preparing for winter weather can be framed around the more obvious ideas of stockpiling food and water, utilizing appropriate winter clothing and footwear, preparing your vehicles in terms of fuel and maintenance, having tools such as shovels and tire chains readily available, prohibiting travel on icy roads, as well as preparing contingency plans for alternate places of stay in the case of residents requiring medical attention. These simple strategies are integral pieces of plans county residents should make for themselves in order to ensure their ability to cope with severe snow and play a responsible role in preparing for the frigid reality of winter weather in Torrance County. If you have any questions regarding the contents of this article, please feel free to contact the Torrance County Office of Emergency Management, the phone number there, and then always remember in case of emergency, call me.
I think that's a great article. How will you pay for it to be published in the papers? Just out of your budget, or?
We would run that either as a letter to the editor or as a guest item, and independently wouldn't charge anything to run that or be a public.
Same as the town.
Thank you, Leota, I appreciate that.
So that's really the major thing that I want to bring to your attention. If there's something missing from there, most of it's kind of pretty obvious things, but it may be useful to have a reminder list and a list of contractors.
Thank you very much. Okay, who's next?
Involving employees as well as the county commission is part of my distribution list for risk management safety committee purposes. I'm happy to report we completed our 5th week New Mexico Association of Counties Risk Awareness Program. You should have seen those highlights and goals. One thing that was brought up outside of that spreadsheet was we're lacking fair, equitable, and consistent accident investigation. So with the help of the Association of Counties, they're going to try to be here next month, and we're going to have a mandatory accident investigation training for supervisors, department heads, and anybody else that might benefit from that. And I would invite Mr. Wallen, if his schedule permits, he could join us for that as well. I don't have the time yet. I need to get with Annette. It's scheduled for February, so I think her computer's down because sometime in February we'll schedule that, and it'll be mandatory for those employees. So if you could join us, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, great. Who's next, Linda?
Just a quick little they did the congressional district and the House of Representatives. We have those final. And our congressional district, we didn't change, which is wonderful. We're still in congressional district 1. But in our House of Representatives, it has changed quite a bit. And I have a copy of a map, but there's better ones will be coming out. Rhonda King, who is Representative District 50, and has retained Precinct 5, which is Mountain View Elementary, Precinct 13, which is the Moriarty Civic Center. We changed, it was the Community Center, now the Civic Center. Tehique, Precinct 16, Torreance, Manzano, and Precinct 10 in Mount Nail. Those are what is Rhonda's. So all the rest have moved into Richard B. Hill, which would be Precinct 6, which is from 41 to east, that's B. Hills. Precinct 15, which is Saving Pump Road this way, and all the McIntosh areas, Estancia area, and Encino, Duran, and the 1 precinct in Mount Airy. So that's as it sits. We still have the PRC and the Senate to decide. So we might not have to send new voter registration cards to everybody, just depending. Right now, there is only like 4 or 5 that actually changed. So if we have to, I think our Senate districts are probably going to change, but I was wrong on this, so I'm not going to say on the other. If we have to send out new voter registration cards to everybody, it's going to cost us about $7,800 to do that, which I know that's a large expense, but the postage alone is $4,500 for our postage. So I just wanted to let you know that, I've already talked to Tracy. Tracy says we have enough money in the postage to cover that. So the rest, the voter cards and the letters, all of that will be about $3,500 to send those out. But if we get lucky and they don't change a lot of our Senate districts, we might not have to do every precinct, which would save us a little bit of money.
Great, thank you, Linda.
Is that just the active voters, or is that everybody?
That's to do everybody.
That's to do everybody, so we can get away with doing just the active.
We won't know that until we go to the meeting. We're going to discuss that at our legislative conference. So we'll know that further on. Okay? Anything else?
No, thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
Okay, Sharon, Betty?
I don't have anything.
No.
I'll stand for questions if need be.
Okay, Betty, you have anything?
No.
Michelle? You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Manager, we were given an application in October for AEDs devices for our department, and I just found out this morning that it looks like we're going to be able to obtain 15, which means one of them will stay in the building for use by the county people here. So that's something that he didn't really know that we were doing, but it's through Presbyterian Heart Center, and Wayne Ranger is the one that kind of gave me the application and encouraged me to do that. So they're free of charge. So
That's fantastic.
yeah, so hopefully each one of our deputies that are certified will be, able to have that device, and it'll increase life-saving abilities on scene. So
If you have an extra one, can we use it in the ambulance for the Tahique Fire Department?
we have an extra one. Well, I can maybe get you an application, and they're real generous right now. I don't know where they got all the money to get these, but they are. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will now go to item number 11.
Tracy wanted to say something.
Oh, sorry, Tracy, go ahead.
I was just going to give a quick update on the recycling hub grant. We did expend all the money. We're trying to schedule a date sometime this month to do the final closeout documentation, so that grant is concluding now. The tire grant is in full swing. That's moving along. I think we're within the timeline of the grant, so I'm sure we'll give a quick update on those two.
Great, thank you. Okay, we will now now go to request for gym membership for Sheriff's staff, Sheriff Heath White.
Commissioners. I'll make it real quick because this has been a long meeting. As you know, from the last meeting, unfortunately, I had to leave real quick. I'm implementing the physical fitness standards that are set forth by LEA for the officers. As you know, we're moving the department forward constantly in all aspects. One of them I see is physical fitness for the deputies to respond to calls, things like that. So in order for that, I've implemented the every 6 months a physical fitness for each deputy, like I said, for their certification. With that, what I want to do is offer them to go to the gym through the department. I've changed it up to being a fringe benefit. And so they would pay the fringe benefit on that. The commission asked for an assessment of what it would cost to have our own facility. We've done the legwork on that, and I've actually got some printouts. This is the equipment that is provided now, which will do cardio, muscular, and alternative training to be able to pass the physical fitness test. On top of that, that is just the equipment. So the equipment runs a total of $27,897. That's on that sheet. On top of that would be another about $10,000 for additional equipment, and then the cost of a building, which is building with all the accessories that they provide us, would be $89,000 to $109,000. So versus that to the contract that I'm looking towards for the fringe benefit, we're providing a good service to keep our deputies to those requirements, and allowing them to go to the gym.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. Are there any questions from the table?
I do. I was actually happened to be in the gym the other day. Is this, the numbers that were given to you, were those given by the new owners?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was. And I've got a draft of the contract, if you'd like to see it now.
I would, 'cause I haven't seen
But you guys are gonna be paying for this themselves?
We will, it'll be coming out of our budget, and then it'll be a fringe benefit, so the deputies and personnel would be paying for it also.
Okay.
Would they be paying the full amount or they be paying the fringe?
The fringe.
So can we clarify then so is the county then putting money towards this, and how much?
It'll be coming out of the LA fund, which is the officers get, or the department gets a certain amount per officer each year for equipment, upkeep, things like that. So it'll be coming out of that fund, but the department would be providing partially of the money.
So did the oversight of the LEA fund authorize the expenditure of the funds towards gym membership? Are they okay with that?
The funds are meant for anything that law enforcement. The funds, as we understand, are meant for anything that the law, training, travel, anything that we need in the department that further goes outside of our budget, as in something to do with this.
And
Same thing. I mean, it's outside the scope of our normal budget.
And this is the same system that Moriarty Police Department is providing their officers, and through the fringe benefit area. So they have the same contract, and they're doing the exact same thing.
I guess my question would be for council, how is this any different than us cutting people going and Rotary being paid for?
Well, this is an SOP requirement by the sheriff's department. And I think that the difference is that if there's a SOP in place that requires a degree of physical fitness, that certainly you can get it could be interpreted as a requirement of the job and therefore is not barred by the anti-innovation clause, which was my concern with the
Well, if they don't pass your physical after 6 months, what happens to them?
They go on remedial, and then the state actually looks at their certification for fit of duty. We have not been held to this standard. I've never seen any records be held to that standard. It is a requirement through the state to hold your certification to hold a physical fitness standard. So that's why I'm bringing this to that point.
So this would be defined as an SOP?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So we're talking how many deputies?
I'm not mandating that they all go to the gym. I'm giving it as an option. So from talking with them, I feel that most of them will be going. About 11 to 12 people.
I guess my question is, are you gonna pay for those 12 people and really only 5 use it?
No, this contract, and then I'll bring Michelle up because she's contracted through them or with them.
The deputies are gonna agree, it's gonna be kind of a good faith agreement between the deputy, and they're also gonna be paying a fringe on it. So when they're thinking about something that they're paying part of this for their membership, it's gonna encourage them to go more. Not to mention now that he's stipulating that, he's gonna hold up to the end of the requirements by the state. So we've talked to them, it's been good feedback that we've gotten from them, and it's an unusual request, but I think that people are gonna find it more and more as time goes on and health concerns. It's gonna save us a lot of money in the long run, as far as missed work, injuries, and things like that.
Okay, thank you very much. Does this require action today? Or is this something that you're gonna do? Doesn't seem as if you need commission approval. Tracy?
I just had a comment about the LEFA funds that are sent to us. I'm not positive this is an eligible expense from that, but I can ask DFA to send us clarification because they regulate what that money can be utilized for. So I thought it was only for field equipment or vehicles. That was my understanding, but that might have changed. So I can get that clarification for you before we decide definitely which funds are going to be for. We make sure that we're within the scope of what those
And Madam Chair, I think, Lauren, that's a good idea. I also have had an opportunity to go and look at this contract, to look at it, and make sure that it's legally sufficient to protect us.
Okay, so I will call for a motion to table then.
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We will now go to, anything else, Sharon, or Michelle? Okay.
You can just jog around the building until
We are now at request for actual reimbursement for the New Mexico South Association of Counties Legislative Conference.
Commissioners, County Manager, at the last meeting, you requested that we had anyone who was going to request actual reimbursement for their trip to the legislative conference, that they get in contact with me. I did send out a reminder to the different departments, and I do believe we have a couple in the audience who are requesting actual reimbursement when they go.
Okay. Whoever is requesting. Okay. Mary Ann?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Manager. I was a little confused as how this kind of worked, but the way I understand is I was going to go up just for one night, and now I have another meeting, so I'm going to be going up for 2 nights. And I will be going in my own personal car because I have a special needs daughter, so in case of an emergency, I'm taking my own vehicle, so I won't be able to claim mileage, but I will be able to get per diem. So I just wanted to see if I could get the actuals in case of because of the parking and some of the different meals I'll have to pay for.
Okay, thank you. We're now at the table for discussion. Commissioners?
I have no problem with it.
Leanne?
Thank you.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, does this require a motion per each person, or, okay, is there a motion for approval for actual expenses for Mary Ann? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
No. Oh, no, we made different arrangements. Okay. Well, I was thinking
Okay, great, and we will now go to approval of the 2010-2011 audit report. Tracy Cedillo.
Send it to you electronically.
I prefer mine electronically, please.
And I also have a copy of the letter from the state auditor's office. At the bottom of the letter, this letter authorizes the report to be released publicly. It states at the bottom that the audit report shall be presented to your agency to a quorum of the agency's governing authority at public meeting for approval. And it does point out that the findings are on pages 150 to 151. We have two findings, which one is a repeat and the other one is new but still a repeat. It's a little confusing. The first one, which is a repeat finding, is internal control over financial reporting significant deficiency. Basically, what this states is that we do not prepare our own financial statements. The auditor prepares them for us, so we have to report it as a finding. Most small governmental entities do not do that because they do not have adequate staff to do that. We're one of those entities. We are working with the auditors to get closer to compliance with this issue. So we'll continue to work on that. The next finding shows up as a new finding. It came off the report in 2010, but it was a finding in 2009. And this is on the property tax schedule from the county treasurer's office. The reason why this came back on is we're just having a lot of problems with the software, trying to get the report in the format that the auditor needs it to be compliant with the state auditor reg. So they had to put the finding back on because we just ran out of time to get it compiled for the auditor by their deadline. Our audit report has to be submitted in to the state auditor's office by November 15th, so they were working very hard to meet that deadline. So we were either going to take a finding on the tax schedule or we were going to take a finding for a late audit. So we thought the tax schedule would be the better audit finding to take, not to delay the audit any further. But I know that they're still trying to work with the software programmers to get that straightened out. And I think Triadic is actually in development of some new components to the software that would help take care of the financial statement side of that too. If we could get different reporting, it would be much simpler to compile financial statements here and then have the auditors come in and audit. But the way the reports are in the system, they don't come out. We keep our records on a cash basis and we're supposed to be keeping them on a accrued basis, and the software doesn't really allow us to do that. We would have to keep a lot of separate manual reports, and basically that's all I would be doing, would be just be doing financial reports all year. I wouldn't have time to manage the budget or anything else because we'd be compiling separate reports as opposed to what the software does. But I believe that Triadic is working on making some adjustments in the system to where there's components where we can enter in those accrued balances and actually know what our accrued balances are. So it would be kind of like a secondary reporting that maybe that would help us eliminate that other finding too.
Okay. Thank you, Tracy. Does this require any, like a vote of acceptance of the letter, or is it just information?
That's what the letter states, that it needs to be approved in a public meeting, so.
Okay, are there any questions from the table before I call for approval?
No.
Okay, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you, is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. We will now go to the 2012-2013 RFP for cell phone provider discussion.
Madam Chair, this is back on the agenda because it was tabled at the last meeting. We did have a very lengthy discussion, but because it was tabled, it had to appear back on the agenda. We did request an extension of a 30-day extension from T-Mobile, which they agreed to, so their contract doesn't terminate until mid-February. In the meantime, I'm not sure if the sheriff has done it yet, but you were going to borrow a phone from the animal shelter, correct?
I was supposed to from animal shelter, but I did, I got a phone from another person that was Plateau,
Okay.
another phone that was AT&T, and then Verizon,
Okay.
and did studies with all three phones.
Okay.
All three phones basically showed the same characteristics of good in one spot, bad in the other. Some serve better up north and some serve better down south. What I found is that T-Mobile, although it has its glitches, is comparable to all of them. So we can make, I believe Annette was going to have a switch to the Plateau service when we're down south, and she's going to show us how to do that, which will eliminate a lot of the issues.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Commissioners, I did speak to Martin Gutierrez this morning, and he showed me how to be able to actually go out and look for networks when you're in a certain area. So I will be showing the sheriff how to do that as well. It wasn't just Plateau that showed up, it was also an AT&T tower I imagine that you can hit off of, so that may be solving the issue for the sheriff as far as when he's down south and such. I spoke to T-Mobile either today or by the end of tomorrow. They will be at dispatch installing the in-building enhancement for the T-Mobile program to see if we can get the service better up and running at dispatch. And I spoke to, obviously, Martin again, and I let him know that T-Mobile will be sending out an in-home enhancement that should solve his issues with not being able to get his texts or voicemails within his home. So they are trying to work on it. There was some issue with people being out on vacation and such, but now we're back on track, so.
Okay, thank you. We're now at the table for discussion.
I think if they've resolved it, and it appears it's resolved, then we should continue with the contract.
Okay, this is just listed as discussion. I don't think that it requires a motion. I'm not in favor of staying with them because of their poor customer service so far, but we have two commissioners that are in favor, so we will continue moving forward. We now go to item number 16, under County Manager Requests and Reports for an update.
Madam Chair, I'll just give you a brief written report if you guys have any questions. Yes.
I have no questions, commissioners.
Nora?
Is there a need for executive session?
I will be.
I know.
Joy?
No, ma'am.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to call for a motion to go ahead and adjourn.
So, second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.